Thank you everyone for joining our session today. Next 30 minutes or so will all be about hyper-personalization and next best action topic, right? So it's the thing where I've been working in for the last 20 years or so helping companies creating smart decisioning in all kinds of areas, including hyper-personalization and next best action. As already mentioned, I work for our EMEA corporation in the platform team. But before we go into any of the drier slides, I would say, I'd like to start with a small personal story. So as a kid of the 80s and 90s, this is a very familiar place to me. I grew up in Belgium, and I'm not sure what you know about Belgium, but the weather is not like the weather we have in San Diego here. So it's a lot of rain, it's gray, you're inside a lot, basically, as a kid. So the video store here, that's the place I visited almost each and every week. And there was a guy working behind the register called Steve. And Steve knew all of his customers. I would come in, he would know what movie I had watched last week. He had some new movies, he would recommend certain movies to me to take home over the weekend. He would ask about how my day at school was. So I would say a personalized experience, right? And if LinkedIn would have been a thing back in the days, back in the 80s or 90s, Steve's profile would have mentioned something like head of sales, obviously, but also CMO, because he had to come up with the ideas how to attract new customers, how to retain existing customers, maybe some next best action, like you ran the movie, but here's a bag of chips as well to take home, right? He would also be responsible for the collection strategy because he had people who didn't bring in the records on time, and so on and so on. So he was a man who was wearing many hats. The reason why I'm mentioning this is hyper-personalization, next best action topics is something that touches companies and businesses across the whole organization. It's not just marketing. And that's something that I would like to discuss in the next couple of minutes. So what we will do is we will have a look at what hyper-personalization is to us at FICO, how it can power digital transformation for your company. Is it sales, service or something else? And then we have some time for Q&A as well. All right, so our vision at FICO, and you may have heard this on main stage this morning as well, it's our goal to deliver an always-on, one-on-one, connected, individualized, in-context personalization experience, right? And customers these days, they are, if we look at, we have many people of financial organizations at FICO World, but customers nowadays, they don't only compare their current bank with other banks in terms of digital experience that they have with them, they also compare to other kinds of companies, like the ones mentioned here, like Netflix, Amazon, Airbnb, Uber, all companies who deliver a perfect digital experience, right? So if I open up my mobile bank app on my phone, I expect it to be as good as when I open up the Amazon app in terms of experience, right? So that's why the race is on, right? To get on top of hyper-personalization. I didn't bring a lot of numbers, but I think this is an important number. So a recent survey showed us that 71% of the organizations believe that they are excelling in creating a personalized experience towards their customers. However, only 34% of consumers agree. So there's definitely this personalization gap. So how can we get on top of things, right? How can we meet our customers, meet their expectations? So if you look at the road to hyper-personalization, there are a couple of aspects. And this slide could have been much fuller, but I want to focus on these 5 here. So we have artificial intelligence and customer analytics. Definitely comes into play. It's something that we can use and should use within certain terms and boundaries, of course. The point that I want to make on this topic is we have many intelligent analysts, people who create models, and so on, right? The problem is that only a minority of all the models that are being created get it into production. So there's a lot of work and time spent on creating interesting models, which could be used to personalize a customer experience. But getting into production is time-consuming often. So we need the right technology in place to do that. We need, from our point of view, the platform approach. So a platform helps us, first of all, building those models, but also getting them into production in a seamless way without having to wait for IT, for the next release cycle, and so on, right? Next point on the slide is the omni-channel reality. So you heard me talking about digital experience and so on, but it's not only digital, right? So if you're not a purely digital bank, for example, your customer might get in touch through different channels, right? And with different channels. And many organizations I speak with, when I mention omnichannel, they tell us, yeah, we do that. We do omnichannel. But if we ask further, if we go a bit deeper into it, my understanding of omnichannel is a bit different than what they mean. And from my point of view, they mean multi-channel. So yes, we can speak with customers through different channels, but the channels are not connected with each other. And that's what omnichannel is. So, example, if I am someone trying to connect with customer service representative of my bank, because I ran into an issue on the mobile banking app. Got a weird error, it said, call customer service, whatnot, right? So I call that customer service representative. As soon as I have someone on the line, and this person is aware that I went through some error message on my mobile app, that's omnichannel. The channels inform each other, and it's a seamless experience for the customer. But I think not many organizations are there yet, right? Best case, the customer representative would ask, how may I help you today? And you have to describe the whole problem again, right? Which is time-consuming and frustrating for the customer. Digital only means that we have a whole generation growing up with digital channels. They want to do everything digital. So we need to be able to serve these customers with a personalized experience, just as we serve our customers who go into local branches of banks with a personalized experience. And that's all about, we all sit on a lot of data. The previous session was mentioned as well. There's a lot of data, but you need to be able to use that data and break down those data silos within an organization. Not only data silos, but also business silos maybe, which I will come back to later. And then business agility would be the next point here. So as an established bank, for example, nowadays there's also competition of the smaller startup banks, right? They are very technology-driven, very agile, and they come up with technology solutions like that, right? So being agile is very important, not only to beat the competition in what they want to do, but also follow the market trends, right? Again, with a normal technology setup, I would say, that's very hard to do because there are lots of stakeholders involved. There's IT with release cycles and so on, right? Again, with a platform approach, you eliminate that waiting time and you become much more agile. And then last but not least, personalization at digital scale. Steve, back in the shop, he knew all his customers, but with a couple of million customers, it's hard to have a personalized experience, right? And know all your customers one by one as a human. Now, having the right technology in place, I always, if I start a new project somewhere, I always try to sell the idea that we start small, with a small use case that gets proven, but we should be able to scale that first use case so that we can build on top of that first use case and just broaden the whole view, basically. So what does good look like? This is basically the evolution of hyper-personalization simplified. On the left, it starts with campaign management, maybe 20, 25 years ago, right? So everyone over 18 without a credit card would receive an email saying, hey, you're eligible for a credit card. Do you want one, right? Very simple, very straightforward. No personalization at all. That evolves into campaign analytics, where we start to get a bit more smart. There are personalized greetings. So it would say, hey Sven, we see that you don't have a credit card yet, but you're a loyal customer. Do you want one? And then there might be a second version of that same email with a different layout, different message maybe, and the A/B test that's being done, and we compare what works best for future campaigns, right? That's campaign analytics. Next step there is the predictive analytics. Again, a little bit smarter, where models come into play, where we're gonna predict what is a customer most likely to buy. Propensity scores get being used, right? Next best offer. So that's not only about these propensity scores, but using AI and smart models to come up with the best offer for the customer. So maybe based on time and location as well. So increasingly getting smarter and smarter. The epiphany, like where we all should be right now, isn't a complete right, of course, with next best action. That takes next best offer one step further from our point of view. So it's that messaging where we say everything needs to be in context. And maybe the next best action is to do nothing, right? So it could be that we already contacted the customer yesterday, and it's probably not a good idea to do that again today. That's also where the Ubers and the Amazon and Monzo Bank of these worlds are at right now. If you look at the hyper-personalized customer journey, it contains many different intervals, right? Different touch points. So it all starts, of course, with customer-relevant advertising, both to bring in new customers, but also existing customers to specific products or services. And if you start already creating unique entry points, that's where the personalized experience for the customer starts, right? So each customer, each prospect receives a different kind of unique entry point, web page, maybe a page in their mobile banking app or whatnot, that is personalized to their needs, to their experience with your brand, and so on. To do that, we use AI-powered recommendation engines, of course, and all that leads to this seamless omni-channel service that I talked about before, right? Nowadays, there are very good digital assistants as well, which we could use. Chatbots, which are smart enough to answer most common questions, and also smart enough to bring people in contact with real humans, right? In the personalized journey, we can incorporate dynamic pricing and offer personalization, of course, so having personalized prices for our consumers. And number 7, the pre-populated forms are maybe, it sounds maybe a bit simple, but there's nothing more annoying for a customer than to fill in the same data twice. So if you're already a customer, there's no need to fill in the same details again as you already left with the company to make your next purchase. So that's something to keep an eye on as well. And then once the customer decides, yes, that's the product I want, that's the company I want to buy this product from, he made that decision. Keep the customer informed with real-time product notifications, personalized again. So the customer feels that, okay, it was a good idea to buy this product from this company. They're engaged with me. They keep me in the loop of the process, and so on. And of course, once the whole purchasing process is finished, we need to re-engage those same customers through loyalty programs. So this is a quick overview of the whole hyper-personalization customer journey, what it could look like. So it touches many aspects within one organization, right? Now, instead of me doing all the talking, I thought we shared some of our customer success stories as well. Back in the video store shop, we had the brain of Steve basically managing everything. Some of you might be familiar with the Netflix brain as well. Bradesco has something similar. They have the Bradesco brain. So it's one of the largest banks in Brazil with 74 million customers, 40 million credit applications per year, and a strong purpose of self-transformation and evolution of growing with clients and their society, right? So they adapted the FICO market-leading enterprise capabilities, including data streaming, profiling, decisioning, simulation, and optimization, underpinning the Bradesco digital transformation. And that led to some pretty good results. For example, 15% increase in customers utilizing credit, 60% increase in credit authorized via digital channels, and a 15% increase in revenues, but also a 41% reduction in delinquencies. Enough from me. Let's see what they have to say.
Bradesco is the second largest Brazilian bank. We have more than 70 million customers. I would say that we are a bank that is in every village in the country. So we have operations that cover basically the full stack of financial insurance services in the country. My name is Rafael Cavalcanti. I am responsible for the data and analytics and AI platform here in the bank. Financial industry in general, we do have a key challenge in terms of financial inclusion, the capability of developing financial discipline and expanding our capabilities of delivering financial services, following the customer's needs and the way that the customers have reached their ambition in terms of expectations. The challenge is how we combine the excellency in financial services that we have been providing customers for 80 years to the high expectations regarding digital transformation and digital experiences that those customers expect. Our goal is to bring customers close to our decisioning. We have 4 key things that we're targeting when we reached FICO. The first one is to accelerate the way that we would do decisioning. The second one is having a platform that could aggregate diverse data into those decisioning process. The third one, I would say, is understanding that it was not only having the best decision platform, but having the best operating model to handle those platforms. And the fourth one was actually making sure that we could evolve that platform to several other business cases all the time. A strong partnership requires openness and commitment. FICO was not telling us what we wanted to hear, but was telling us what we needed to hear. We were able to leverage FICO professional services to work with us in the setup of the tool, the setup of the environment, in the development of first couple of use cases, and then expanded to the whole credit portfolio, expanded to credit cards, and also we made the decision of leveraging everything that we learned as our decisioning platform. Our goals are ambitious, and in order to reach those goals, we needed to work with a partner that could help us achieve those objectives.
All right, always nice to hear statements from customers who are happy, of course. There's one more thing that I would like to highlight. That's on sales, service, or something else. So, if you work with even a small number of offers, small number of channels, that gives us immediately a lot of options to select from, right? Different strategies into play. So it becomes very difficult to understand what's going on very, very soon, right? So offer assignment in a hyper-personalized journey for a customer is an optimization challenge as well. So on the left side, it's showing that we have, as a typical organization, we have data on customers, their buying behavior, offer economics, we have analytical models to help us out. And then we also have all those choices from offers and communications to choose from, right? The middle part is showing that optimization challenge. So we have different objectives throughout an organization, but also different constraints, right? Bringing all that together in an optimized decision strategy will lead to more insightful decisions, and that can feed back into the execution system as well. So I'll skip forward here and give you some examples. So if you look at one specific customer, someone with a credit score or a risk score of 620 and a attrition score of 700, and she's a new customer type, light usage, and then a couple of propensity scores next to her name as well, right? So putting it simply, for this one customer, there are 3 possible actions to take. We offer her a credit card, personal loan, or account advice. Now, with our analytical models, we can already think about what the reaction would be, right? So the first one has a probability of take-up of 71% and an expected return of $200. The second one, there's a probability of 75% take-up, but an expected return of $250. And for the third one, the probability of take-up is even higher, but the expected return is much lower. So in this case, second offer would be best to be played out to the customer, right? Now, can we predict what a customer wants and give it to them? We can predict probably, hopefully, but there are lots of constraints that come into play. So what if they all want advice? What if they all want to be called? What if they were already contacted yesterday? So there are many moving aspects here. Then there's also, well, at the video store, we just had Steve. He managed everything. He took the decisions. That was easy, right? But I don't think that's a good idea for a big bank to operate like that. So we have CEOs who think about how the organization needs to be a customer-centric organization first. Then we have the CFO who is thinking about the responsibilities toward the shareholders. And we have the head of customer service who thinks about the limited number of service people who can answer the phone and so on, right? So there are lots of limitations as well and restraints. Now, coming from that singular view from one customer to the whole portfolio is a bit more complex, right? So we already looked at the single view of the customer and what the expected reaction would be and so on. Now, if we look at the whole portfolio and we run the optimization there, we might end up with different responses toward an individual customer. But on the whole portfolio, it might make sense to go for the second option and not the first, for example. This was something that was shown on main stage this morning as well. So it basically shows us how FICO platform can add benefits to each and every aspect that we just highlighted in a hyper-personalized customer journey, right? There are so many use cases to work on, and FICO platform makes it easy to ingest the data, create that singular view, break down silos, create insights from that data, turn that into actions, and of course then observe the outcomes and basically feed that back into the loop and come up with next best actions, which improve over time. I'm going to wrap it up with a couple of key takeaways. So personalized experience drives long-term business value. Secondly, consumer demand has never been higher for data-driven personalization. Understanding the impact and pivoting quickly is key to meeting customer needs, so that agility. Need to ensure that communication is frictionless. And of course, FICO platform can help you with the end-to-end realization of creating lasting customer relationships.